And over here, you'll see the commissary where today's special
is that where the little boy stuck his finger in it?
No. Okay, listen. We just called it Dutch Boy. There's no...
Because he put a finger... Because he put
stop,
a finger in a dye
Stop
gray.
grabbing at stuff,
Mr.
okay?
Mr.
Is this where I put my finger in it?
Hold on. Kids?
Yes, Dr. Scrooge McDuck?
I let you come on this trip without permission slips. I could lose my job. Please don't make me regret it.
That's highly irresponsible of you.
I just want to know where I put my finger in it.
You don't put your finger anywhere.
But,
What?
But then
Let
why
him
is it called
continue.
the Dutch Boy?
Are we going to let him continue? Are we going to let him
I
continue?
want to put my
Are we
finger in
going to let him continue?
Make paint
Listen,
here or
kids,
something? I'm
kids.
confused.
Listen. We'll continue on the tour. We'll have questions at the end. And then we'll go to the commissary and have plum
Can I put my
frites.
finger in this one?
Stop
Is that
it.
Uranus?
Look, you know, I told you, we're nowhere near Uranus.
Children,
Uranus
don't
is
laugh.
right here, look.
No, put that away. Put your pants up.
We're in high Earth's orbit. You know that, okay? So now over here is
What would happen if the moon slammed into the Dutch Boy and then the Dutch Boy exploded a bunch of pieces and then it fell on Earth? What would happen?
Listen, I am so sorry. I I
What
don't
would
know.
happen?
I don't know why my class
It's-
only has 2 people either, but I
It
am
is-
so sorry.
We
is a
should
mo-
make a movie like that where the moon's falling.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know
the
what I
moon,
mean?
and then the moon fell down, and then Halle Berry would be really, really mad.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
listen to me, you wee little bastards. I am getting sick of this. This whole thing. I have got to go back to Earth at the end of this thing. I have a congressional hearing I have to go to, and it's going to be far more enjoyable than leading you snot-nosed little bastards around the space station that I designed. Now shut your goddamn mouths.
Mr. Gerard Butler? Mr. Gerard Butler? Can I
What?
put my finger in it?
Stop putting your fingers in things.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
Oh, welcome back, folks, to What Were They Thinking? A podcast about bad to questionable movies, and this week's one has it in spades. I am your host, Nathan, and of course, with me, as always, is the Richard Schiff to my Ed Harris, Brendan. How you doing, Brendan? Hey, Richard Schiff is a fantastic character actor. I would love to see him and Tobolowsky in like a buddy cop comedy. Yes, we couldn't tackle a movie this fucking terrible without having the king and queen of this movie is fucking terrible. Join us for the, I don't know what, umpteenth time. Ladies and gentlemen, from everything I learned from movies, or should I say, everything I learned from movies, Steven and Izzy.
Hey, everybody! Geostorm!
Yeah, we've only seen this, 5 times?
My God, I've seen like The Third Man once and like The Godfather twice, but I've seen this movie at least 4, possibly 5 times.
In the last decade, you've seen Geostorm more times than your supposed favorite movie in the whole world, Scarface.
How dare you?
It's true, though.
Probably true.
Guaranteed true.
So,
Anyway, thanks for having us on, guys.
no problem.
And just like Scarface, this movie stars Al Pacino. All right, let's get into it.
I believe that was Andy Garcia, my friend.
Oh, same difference. I think you mean starring Andy Garcia and co-starring Andy Garcia's pen.
Yeah.
Because that pen gets a lot of action, a lot of love.
Oh, yeah.
Plot! Alright, so yeah, Geostorm. Gonna do a real quick rundown of the plot. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna do a quick summary of it. It's like if Armageddon and Deep Impact had a love child that was fed lead paint chips exclusively. Hilarity ensues.
Wow, what a plot breakdown.
Nah, in all seriousness. Alright, This movie is like an inconvenient truth on mescaline. It's preposterous. Gerard Butler is an astrophysicist. See?
Soul, take my money.
Wait, there's more?
There's more.
Shit.
He single-handedly helps design an entire space station and global net to help control the Earth's weather patterns, because apparently climate change just got a little too out of control 2 years ago.
Climate change.
3 years ago now. And there are random extreme weather events, so they designed this netting to go around the Earth to control these storms and prevent the dreaded Geostorm. Of course, things go awry. Gerard Butler has to remember a code that he and his brother came up with when they were kids to help save the world from a geostorm, and Ed Harris. Hilarity ensues.
Can we just, when we get to that point with the secret brother code, I only want to spend 75 minutes on it. Also, you noted all these details, but I think we're told this by the opening narration from Greta Thunberg.
Just about.
Just this little kid, like,
guys,
just narrating the movie, and for like the longest time, I'm like, okay, but who is this? It takes a while.
Yeah, I know. She.
Yes, what year does this movie take place?
Okay, so I think. Okay, so all right. So I think it was the netting was built, like the initial stuff was built in 2019.
I thought it was.
That's when they started. All the countries came together.
Exactly.
Everything passed immediately, which is the first sign this is science fiction.
Right.
And then they built this thing.
And then
Gerard Butler was running it for a while.
Right.
And then we skip to 3 years
which
later
means
after
it's
the congressional
happening
hearing.
right now.
So 2028 or 2057?
No, I believe this. Okay, so if the congressional hearing is supposed to happen 3 years from 2019, the congressional hearing is happening this year, and the full handover would be happening in 2025.
So it was all built in 3 years?
That's what I gathered.
My mind is imploding that this is the first thing we're focusing on. Of all
it's the opening scene, Brendan.
in this movie.
So
I like how.
So in 3 years, we're going to have pens that become,
those cell phones?
mini
Yeah.
TVs.
By the way, I love how the movie immediately says that the machine was led by the U.S. and China, because you got to make sure you get that China release date.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they got money, so.
Yeah.
All right. So as Brendan said, we start out with a really inconvenient truth. We find out that it's Gerard Butler's daughter doing this, opening narrative for exposition, and she is just really just bringing us all down, like really hard, like tell us how terrible things are. And then she says the world came together as one, which I noted, as Steve did, hilarious. And and then we find out what they built. Like I said, this gigantic dome netting around the Earth, which immediately made me note, like the Druidia dome from Spaceballs to keep the fresh air in.
Mm-hmm.
Or Highlander 2.
I like Spaceballs better.
Highlander 2.
You were talking about the
Renegade
Edition? That's
Edition,
exactly.
or-
The Renegade Edition or the theatrical cut?
Oh, the quickening. We're going to Planet Zeist on this one.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
And then we are immediately treated to Gerard Butler and his hilarious accent as he's putting on the American accent, and later they have to give some weak ass exposition that he was born in the UK but moved to the. So why didn't they let him just have the accent then?
Yes, can we just say Hollywood, just let him be Scottish. Just let him do his own accent.
Yeah, throwaway exposition lines are perfectly acceptable.
Guys, okay, so we meet the German lady scientist later, astronaut scientist, whatever, and she's German. But her accent was like, what is she supposed to be, like French and Gypsy or something like that? Like, I don't know what's going on here.
She sounded Nordic to me.
Yeah. We're like, okay, we gotta look it up. And it's wait. Is she Norwegian?
Wait.
Nope. Oh, apparently she's German.
Wait, you thought she sounded like Gypsy from Mystery Science Theater?
Oh, Richard Basehart.
But Gerard Butler's character's name is Jake Lawson.
Yeah.
Would he not be
America McMurrican?
Would he not be like super famous? He's literally the guy that invented like the world-saving weather computer, and he walks over to Congress, and that guy's like, "Oh wait, hey, I think you're Jake Lawson." I think everybody would know that he's Jake Lawson. Like, he would be a fucking hero.
It'd be like Fauci, but Gerard Butler looking.
So Republicans would spit on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they know who he is by sight.
The another like really like unrealistic part of this is that like everybody agrees that this thing is like important. There'd be a bunch of people who'd be like, fake news. Yep. This isn't real.
Fake news. Madrid wasn't a real city.
Oh, they planned that. They were crisis actors.
But President Andy Garcia said it took a while. But I was thinking about that, and I was like, did it though? Because you just said it was invented 3 years ago.
Yeah. And then they're talking about how they're going to hand it over to the world in 3 years from now.
It took 3 years to get every single country on board for this. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot like Pacific Rim, where it was like, oh yeah, everybody came together to build these Jaegers and giant walls.
Pacific
and
Rim is way better than this movie. To be
fair, I do feel like more people would believe in Godzilla's attacking the East Coast than would believe in a pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, true.
Well, yeah, you can see
more people believe
kaiju.
In goddamn angels.
So Nathan, he's in Congress, right? What's he doing in Congress?
Just rapping with our boy Richard Schiff, because basically 3 years from this congressional hearing, the U.S., who was kind of spearheaded the operation of building the space station and the netting, have to hand it over to the world, essentially. So I guess the UN, I don't know, so that everybody all the world is running it, not just the U.S. They're the only ones having the say in how this thing is run, and they're doing this congressional hearing to find some sort of way so they don't have to hand this thing over in 3 years. And it gets quite contentious to the point where Gerard Butler calls Richard Schiff a space plumber.
Yeah, it gets so contentious that his brother, played by, help me out,
Max.
Jim Sturgess? Yeah. So contentious that his brother, played by Jim Sturgess, is finding the time to send him stop sign emojis to his phone
because he wants him to stop being so contentious with Congress.
But I just love how first he's just saying stop, and then all of a sudden he's sending emojis. I'm like, dude, don't spend the time.
He didn't listen to the first one. He's not listening to the second or third one.
Not gonna.
Yeah. I was waiting for Mr. Schiff or where it would be like, sir, would you please stop checking your phone while I'm narrating you?
Oh, I'm sorry, space plumber. Bet you weren't ready for that.
I'm a space plumber.
I was waiting for Gerard Butler to look at his phone and be like, oh, he's sending me pictures now. Okay, I'm sorry, Your Honor. He gets fucking fired by his own brother.
He just can't talk to people at all. His brother drops the boom that he's out, and that his brother's going to be replacing him essentially.
Then you cut to...
Oh my god, you guys, that just made everything fall into place. Gerard Butler is insufferable in this movie. We agree? His character?
Oh yeah, he's horrible.
Yeah, nobody can be in the same room. Somebody else, possibly his brother, took the credit, because this is how these things work. Like, you think Bill Gates invented anything? No, he stole a bunch of ideas from a bunch of insufferable bastards and was charismatic and had a silver tongue and was like, I have this little thing you can hook up to a computer and you can point and click. I call it a mouse.
Because when I think of Bill Gates, I think of smoldering charisma.
He's got a hell of a lot more charisma than the guy over at Xerox who invented the mouse.
Bill Gates.
Don't you talk about Woz like that.
No, the Woz also is charismatic, but he's also insane.
Guys.
And so no one takes him seriously.
I think what Izzy's trying to say is that Bill Gates is basically Javier Bardem.
Yes.
He is walking sex on a stick. That's Bill Gates.
So
Yep, see? You guys get it.
3 years later.
Oh, yes, 3 years later, we're now on the cusp of them handing over power to the world, UN, I guess.
But then Sub-Zero attacks Afghanistan.
Oh my God, yes. And everyone, the best thing with this movie is that they're not just going to rely on you to see like visual cues that it's really hot out or the fact that they're in Afghanistan. No, they have to have somebody say, man, it's 120 degrees in this mug already. And then they roll up on this village that has been flash frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they're like, that's not how weather works.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and it's a very precise, like, laser beam focus of where this ice, apparently strong enough to completely freeze human bodies a la Demolition Man style.
I will say...
like they were dipped in liquid nitrogen.
Exactly. I will say this, though. I have talked to some Americans in the past who felt that that's how the border worked with Canada and the U.S. Like, as soon as you leapt over the border, it was an Arctic tundra.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's scientific fact now. Okay, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
My mistake.
I mean, to be fair, like Wisconsin and Minnesota and Montana are all Arctic tundras.
They're just South Canada.
Exactly. See?
I would see. That's the thing.
Afghanistan's
I would offer a rebuttal, but we're about to get a huge snowstorm like tomorrow. Damn it! Why didn't we do this in July?
It was 4 degrees Fahrenheit when I woke up this morning. So
Rikey. Anyhow, Geostorm.
Yes.
So, Afghanistan, where people flash freeze in 120 degree heat, and we go to a scene between Max, that's Jim Sturgess' character, and his verboten girlfriend, who they have the lovely discussion about how he is a new tie wearing.
He's a what?
I'm sorry?
He is a new tie wearing. He has a new tie. He's wearing a new tie.
Okay.
It's a Simpsons reference. Those who know will get it.
They have sort of a forbidden love because she's in the Secret Service and he's a scientist, which I said, why is that forbidden?
Not because
he's a cabinet member.
He's a cabinet member.
Yeah.
He works in the government.
I still think
He's a high-ranking government official. She's Secret Service.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can't bone someone you're protecting when you're Secret Service.
No,
I don't
Steve.
know.
She's not supposed to bone anybody she may potentially have to take out later.
Oh.
On the word of
well,
the
that's
president.
anybody if you're a Secret
Yeah,
Service.
yeah.
Because
exactly.
everybody's a suspect.
I don't know. I was like, I think if they just told people they were together, I don't think there would be an issue, but whatever.
Yeah, there's like a forum with HR and shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy fix.
But-
Yeah, they'll make them work at different campuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can have their relationship. Just one can be in DC and the other one can be literally anywhere else.
In like Virginia or something, which is like apparently a
Yeah.
stone's throw from DC.
So after establishing
is,
that relationship, though, it's the most important thing is that we establish President Andy Garcia and the villain of the film, Vice President Ed Harris.
yeah,
I think they're
Secretary of State. Ed
Oh, is he?
Harris.
I thought he
Yeah.
was vice president.
No, he's
Yeah,
not.
no, because
he's not in
trying
direct
to
lineage.
take. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he's not in
Oh,
direct
okay.
lineage. He is in the line of succession though.
Oh, right, because later on he has to kill like all of Florida so he could be president. Right. Continue.
Yeah, everybody at the DNC or whatever.
Gore should have tried that.
Yeah, guys. So if you're going to try to
killed
have
all of Florida, he
Andy
would've been
Garcia
president.
be your red herring, don't have Ed Harris in the fucking movie.
That was
Right.
That was as soon as when we were watching this movie, Steve was like, "Andy Garcia's president." Well, he did it, and then it showed Ed Harris. And he's like, "Oh God damn it, it's Ed Harris!"
I mean, literally any other actor. You could have J.K. Simmons or something and be like, okay, I can see it now. Like, he's not the immediate suspect.
Yeah, no, but
it's like having Willem Dafoe.
yes, exactly. If you really want to throw people for a loop and make them think about who might be the bad guy in this movie, you put in Ed Harris, Willem Dafoe, and Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
And then
It can't be all three of them, can
And
it?
yeah, that would keep everybody guessing until the reveal.
And then Donny Osmond turns out to be the villain.
Hey guys,
Hi, everybody, it's me, President Tom Hanks.
Right, Tom Hanks needs to be the villain.
So President Andy Garcia and Secretary of State Ed Harris. Okay.
Yeah.
But they're basically like, isn't this where they're like, yeah, we need to fix Dutch Boy because it's being kind of a bitch, you guys.
It's just like murdering people, y'all.
Yeah.
Man, Andy Garcia should have been like that character should have been like Brittany Murphy. Y'all. Now, I know, Steve. I know she was busy doing other projects. You don't have to tell me.
Yep, that's exactly where
That's
she
exactly
was.
where she was. Yeah.
But yeah, and then Ed Harris
sad
is
now.
like, "Hey, Jim Sturgess, you need to go get your brother to do this." Okay.
I mean, he only designed and built the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
And when I saw this stinker originally, and this stuff started going on, they're like, "Oh, this blip is gonna happen. There's gonna be more coming." And I'm like, man, he's got to go find somebody to lead a crew to repair or take care of a problem in space. Man, this sounds an awful lot like Armageddon.
Wasn't there also another movie where the Secretary of State was trying to kill the president to kill the whole line of succession?
I actually think that was the
White House
Olympus has fallen. Also starring
Yes.
Gerard Butler.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
The American
Angel has
President,
fallen,
starring Michael
Sun has
Douglas.
fallen.
If anybody, if you want to stop the Secretary of State from becoming the president, get Gerard Butler in your movie.
Yeah. Well, guys, because that's what he's doing when he's not making movies. He's stopping Secretaries of State from murdering the president in the line of succession. I mean, can you name the Secretary of State?
I'm just imagining him at running interference against Condoleezza Rice.
Not today.
Thank God we didn't give him more work during the Trump years.
You know what? Any one of those was a shit sandwich. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So cut to on board the Dutch Boy.
Okay, yeah, and it was at this point I started having some fun with what was going on, and I noted this MST3K reboot is really too polished. There are all these
It
like
looks too good.
you're right.
Future.
The Satellite of Love should not look that shiny and pristine.
But because of this whole scene, we do have a hilarious bit where this guy is like taking a look at the satellite that went out of control, and then he takes a file off of it, walks through what looks like to be a high school locker room, and then he goes somewhere and somebody locks him in, and he hilariously flies out of the ship.
Before that happens, though, he does put that file into a locker, and then he walks into the hallway and gets sucked out into the void of space.
Yeah, whatever he's doing. At first, when I saw this movie, I thought he was a bad guy until he got sucked out into space.
I at least thought he was in cahoots with a bad guy for the longest time when I first saw this, and he was just like a loose end that had to be wrapped up.
Yeah,
As part of the bad guy's planned.
I have a theory later about who I thought the bad guy was at first, and I want to see if any of you are on board, because there were some weird cuts to this character, and I was like, wait a second. Are they the villain? But anyway, we'll get to it.
So after Mahmoud, the fella who got sucked out into space, gets sucked out into space, we head back down to Earth, and this is when Max has to go to pitch to have his brother come and help him out, and get this thing fixed.
Yep.
Is that right?
And we meet Lady Butler.
Yeah.
Yes. And
not his wife, his daughter.
His daughter, who absolutely gets it, because I mean, not only is she building machines, later in this exchange. She just says, "Well, shit happens."
Yep.
I was like, this kid gets it. This kid absolutely gets it.
Wise beyond her years.
Right?
Little Greta's really gonna make a big splash when she grows up.
And while she's talking to her Uncle Max, her dad, Gerard Butler, comes out. And
Oh, congratulations.
just out and proud. Well, you know what? It's a sequel to Rock and Rolla.
I can't hide who I am.
And so he sees that his brother Max has shown up and immediately says to his daughter she shouldn't be talking to strangers. And I'm like, family drama that I really don't care about.
Skip.
By the way, Gerard Butler's like triple wide that he's got going here that's made out of like 7 Airstreams.
Not gonna lie.
Super cool, right?
That was pretty badass.
It was kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to know more about his super green home. Like, did Ed Begley Jr. like design it? Does Ed Begley Jr. live in the back?
I just kind of wanted to know more about the absolutely no neighbors whatsoever.
They foreshadow they foreshadow their secret brother code, which we kind of leave at this point, but it's gonna come back. It gets very clumsily introduced here.
Oh yeah, it does.
Is that what they were doing?
Yeah, he because Max is pleading to Jake about how close they were. We even had our own secret code. Don't you remember that? And he's like, no, I don't remember that. And then Max kind of chides him for starting to drink early, to which I noted, it's a Coors Light. Calm down, Max.
I was going to say, if you wanted a sparkly water, just grab a Calistoga. Come on, guy.
Okay, so they have their exchange, and Gerard Butler, he doesn't want to, but he's going to help. Then we cut to Hong Kong and the Pacific Climate Council, which I don't think is a thing.
No. We also meet Cheng, the other minority character in this movie who eventually dies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them, Brendan.
That all die. Yes, I agree.
He's starting to notice that it's really warm in the office that he's working at, and so he's gonna go out for some refreshment, and it's just so hot. I guess it's unseasonably warm for Hong Kong at the time. So he goes to the local convenience store that has a cat roaming around showing everybody its butthole. I'll tell you one thing about this movie. This movie was braver than Cats, because this movie did release the butthole cut.
Yeah.
Also shows that the cat is the smartest thing in Hong Kong because it's hiding in the freezer.
He's trying to jump in the freezer, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then Shen asks the cat if there's room in there for him as well.
Because it's so bloody hot. No. So he goes outside with his purchases. Oh, silly him! He drops his eggs, and they start frying on the pavement. You know what? I think he would have gotten that sensation that the pavement was that hot before he went into the convenience store, but no time for that because somebody apparently casts Ifrit.
Do you mean Do you mean like when he was like if it was that hot he'd literally be walking on a fucking frying pan?
Or he would feel his shoes sticking to the pavement at the very least because they'd be going,
it wouldn't just be all of a sudden. It wouldn't
This
just
is something I actually have experience with. Your shoes won't. Your eggs will fry on the pavement before your shoes will melt.
Okay.
And she grew up in Sacramento, where it's regularly 110 degrees and
like 110 to 108 to 110 degrees is the normal pre-climate change like summers.
Disgusting.
Like when I graduated in early June in like the early 2000s, we had a 2-week period where the low did not get below 90 degrees, like at night.
So you were making eggs outside all the time.
Well, I mean, we had to do it just to see if it would do it, and it did. And then it does get to a point where your shoes will start to melt. Your Vans, your like gum-based shoes, those start melting quicker than, say like regular rubber or like polyurethane.
Right.
Well, kids, back in the 90s, we had these shoes made out of gelatin, apparently, and
No, that's why vans are used by the skater kids and why they wear out a little faster, because they've got like a gum base, so they're quote unquote stickier, but they give you the stopping power.
They adhere to the deck of the board better. Oh yeah, and I need to correct myself. Someone didn't cast Ifrit; they summoned Ifrit, because he's an eidolon that you summon in Final Fantasy, not a spell that you cast.
Oh, I thought you were referencing Die Another Day.
No.
Nope, can't say he was.
Because that's their laser beam satellite in that movie. You all remember, right?
Nope.
The worst James Bond song?
I saw it one time in theaters, I think.
So Chang, well, like Chang immediately is like an amazing stunt driver, driving through the street, avoiding everything in his path,
Yeah.
and somehow doesn't die in this scene.
Exactly. He missed his calling as an F1 racer.
Do you think this was this movie being like, hey, listen, we're gonna kill him later, but at least we're not playing into the stereotype with him driving bad, huh?
But you guys, they did kill that cat.
No, they didn't.
Oh yeah, that cat died.
Oh, that cat's dead. That cat's not in the car with Chen. And then
You saw all the towers falling, right?
Nah.
and all the buildings exploding.
Listen, I've learned from watching enough franchises that if you don't see that fucking body hit the floor, they could still be alive.
Brendan's
Oh my god, no,
under
Brendan's right. You guys won't hear this very often. Brendan's right. The cat was in the fridge. And if I've learned anything from movies, if you're in a fridge, you're safe.
Exactly.
That's right. Indiana Jones
There we
that
go.
shit.
Yeah, like it's just there's a cut scene at the end of the movie where that fridge is like half melted into the ground. The door flies open. The cat
just sticks its ass out for everyone to see one more time.
Butthole.
Yeah, but also in the fridge, Indiana Jones's bones.
Discovered by Han Solo.
Yeah, because the cat ate him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he gets away from this volcano thing, and then it just suddenly stops, right?
Kinda, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like he gets out of his car, and I guess it was his ridiculous. Oh, it was the car that the register. I thought it was his ridiculous smartphone that will never exist. We see the temperature like just drop at a dramatic rate. So much so that I think they would probably actually have adverse health effects on the people around it if the temperature dropped so sharply.
Oh yeah, 100%. But then you see Jake Gerard Butler go up into Dutch Boy, to which I noted, wow, that was fast. There was
it was one passenger on that space flight, and I'm like, no, that still costs a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
You're going to send a couple more people on that trip.
My note here is one guy.
Yeah.
But also like so quickly. Like, they literally, earlier that day, were like, hey, we need you to go up. And, like, that night, they were like, here we go.
Well, he's already been to space. He's already got the training.
Still, though,
Yeah.
you think you still gotta go through some shit before you just go up into space if it's been, like, a few years.
Yeah, I would say it's been 3 years, so.
Yeah, I feel like you need a refresher course.
I feel that they would have just added him to, like, I don't know, the equivalent of a shift exchange. Like, for people who have been up on the space station for, months on end, now it's their turn to come home and be at home and rest and recuperate with their family, and they're going to send up a bunch of other folks. All those other folks will be on this, as well as Jake.
But we do...
Oh, you guys, it's the budget. They have to make sure they get their budget for the year. So every day, they just send a shuttle up, whether there's anybody on it or not.
Okay, so it's like Greyhound buses.
Yeah, it's public intergalactic.
Doesn't matter how many riders are on the bus. That thing's making its run.
Fucking bureaucracy.
Pretty much.
But guys, the good news is that when he meets the crew, one of them is Klaus from Umbrella Academy. I thought
he does immediately kind of stick his foot in his mouth with the head scientist, because he's just trashing the place, because according to him it's falling apart around their ears. You hear that? That's a degrading coupler, and you can you hear that thing? That's this place. I left it was perfect. It's just falling to shit. We need a better head scientist or someone who gives a crap about this place. And she's like, oh, I am the head scientist.
So at this point, what? Cheng and Max find out that they're blocked out of accessing the system.
Oh
the
yes,
Dutch
but he
boy
finds
system.
out because he is having an intimate tryst with Agent. My goodness, and then their little snuggle fest / argument, because this is where we get more kind of pushback about how they can't tell anybody about their relationship, and they'll get reprimanded or fired or some garbage. And
I just don't think she wants to marry that wiener.
that's
I
also
Right?
a fair statement. Although she's
I
she's
think
kind of on board
Wiener's
for it
part
later.
of the package, my friend.
No, I mean he's a wiener, Steve. God damn it. No, I just think because he's like, I want to get married, and she's like, it's
We
against
can't
the
tell anybody about our
rules."
relationship. Yeah, that's it.
The
Yeah.
that's the ticket. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
By the
this
way,
whole
Abbie Cornish is like today, like the Laura Linney of today. I'm in.
okay. So he this whole thing gets interrupted. And this is where we do find out that they've all been locked out of the operating system for Dutch Boy.
Oh yeah, this is where she's like, "There's a press briefing. I gotta go right now." Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you have like some kind of warning to prep everything? Like, she would need to go and make sure the whole area.
Usually
was
they
clear.
show up early to secure the area.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't
let's-
just say you'd have
hey-
a schedule. You'd have like things in place. It wouldn't just be like, "Hey, you're on call. Get over here."
This is an emergency. This is an emergency press briefing because of what happened in Hong Kong
I
in
think you would
relation to
still
Dutch
have.
Boy.
I think you would still have more than 45 seconds to get dressed and leave.
I don't
I
know,
feel
man.
like neither of you guys have ever worked like retail.
24-hour news cycle.
This is the thing. I feel that them having a press conference almost right away seems about right.
I don't know.
And
It
then
just-
and then a couple of her coworkers called in sick, and so they're like, "Hey, sorry, Laura Linney, you got to come in."
Well, that's the other thing too. There are so many Secret Service people. I don't think they were like, "Well, we better get the ones that aren't working." Like, pretty sure there
We
are.
got to
enough
get the
people on
photogenic
call.
ones.
or on not on call,
Yeah.
but working. Anyway,
Nah, look, I feel like you've never worked retail, and that's just about like selling some shit.
Secret Service is not retail.
No, but I feel like they would probably have the same scheduling issues. It's the government. Come on.
If they're having a press conference, they're definitely selling something.
So anyhow,
Right.
while she is being told that she has to go to this imminent press conference, Max is having his exchange with what did you say the guys from Hong Kong was name was again?
Jen.
Chang Long.
Cheng. Okay, so
No,
he's
not
having
Jude Law, Steve.
Wait,
Long.
what, was it Cheng or Chen?
I think it was Chang.
CHENGLONG.
Cheng.
Okay.
Okay, so Max is talking with Cheng about this, and he says that a geostorm is imminent. We have our title, and he's like, okay, well, I'll call you back because we have to go to do this apparently immediate press conference. Cheng goes back to his office, and it gets searched by men in dark suits.
Mm-hmm.
It may be like a deep navy, but not black. They're not the men in black.
Well, it's just in case they get scared and wet themselves. You won't be able to tell.
Right. They do this office search. So Chang knows something's up with him looking for his access to the operating system for Dutch Boy. He's probably putting together now that this whole thing is also kind of linked with the the Ifrit summon that happened earlier. But we don't really get to a lot of time to that because we go back up to space, and they're kind of going through all of the satellites to kind of figure out what maybe happened with Hong Kong, and this most exciting thing happens where they tell them to scan all the satellites and their files.
But there's got to be over 1,000.
Yep.
1,217 to be exact. Do it all. But wait, before they go back to there, don't we see Max going to like his tech friend, or is that
Chang.
after this? No, his tech friend
Oh,
Zazie.
are you
Beetz.
talking about DJ Zazie Beetz?
Yeah. Doesn't he go to her like before this, and he's like, "Hey, can you stop doing your job scoping out cyber terrorists so you can help me for a minute?"
Oh, it's a distinct possibility. It just seemed it's just really just something real short to introduce her, so that when she shows up later for the longer but you don't see her again for a fair bit.
I just
Yeah,
like
I
the
think
idea.
it's a little later because she's like asking her to look into whatever Project Zeus is. So I think they have to find out what that is first.
I just like that we establish her working in like this cubicle, and it's like it just looks like, oh, she's stuck in this cubicle job, and then she's like, yeah, I'll just stop trying to stop cyber terrorism for a second. I was like, wait a second, that's an intense cubicle job.
But ultimately, it kind of is a cubicle job.
Yeah, where else are you going to do? In a palatial estate? Come on.
You're not gearing up to go out in the field.
Not every hacker is Swordfish. You're not going to have like your 12 screens.
Hell, not even
and your
hackers.
8 Monster energy drinks and
Halle Berry in your lap.
yes. That job interview is great though. I highly recommend it.
I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny that it was like a 9-to-5 office job, and she's like, cyber terrorism, here we go.
So yeah, that might have been a brief thing, and then we have that because after the scan of the rock and rollers, I have when future Zoom meetings go awry.
Oh my
the
god!
giant ass hologram
Yeah, sure,
Zoom meeting.
they have a Zoom
my
meeting on the
God.
Titantron. Wrestling reference,
Yeah.
got it in.
There you go. We're talking about Max and Jake.
Yes. And the president too, isn't it? Or is
Well,
that
later
a later,
on, yeah.
Is that a later Zoom meeting? Okay.
It's later on, yeah. But what's
But
funny
Ed
is
Harris
when,
is there, right?
What's funny is when they're bickering with each other, there's a point where Max like, okay, so I have major questions here. Who is shutting down the transmission sometimes? Because sometimes Max leaves the room and it just turns off. Sometimes Gerard Butler's like in transmission, and like sometimes they both do it. Like it's just, is it on a timer? Like what's going on?
There is a guy in the room where Jake's at operating the console. So if it gets turned off on Jake's end, it would be that guy in the room in DC.
The Miles O'Brien of the Zoom meeting.
There is at least one scene though where it's just Max in the room and he walks out and then it shuts off.
Isn't that guy like supposed to be always in the room when that thing's running?
I don't think he's in the room in the one scene because
Does he like turn off the light switch on the way out? It might be hooked to the light switch.
I don't. It's
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that'd be ingenious.
That makes
really.
sense.
It's hooked up to the clapper. No, it's just funny because he just like storms off at one point, and Gerard Butler's like, "Hey, Max, like, come back here." I just thought it was funny.
All right. So this is where Gerard Butler expresses he's a tad upset, because when he hammered out the deal rather to do the work on the space station, one of his things was that I don't want to answer to you, and I'll help you.
And
guess who he's answering to?
Is brother.
Screech, record scratch. He's a grumpy older brother. He's the fastidious younger brother. See what happens when the older brother has to answer to the younger brother. This season on Jake and Max, coming soon to Fox.
It's like Supernatural, but all the time.
Starring Shelley Long.
I feel good. I don't know why it turned into like a mid-90s B comedy.
That is, but that you're right. Though Ed Harris is in that scene because he's the one who tells him like you can just report to your brother, and then he's like, I got to report to my. I mean, I'm not Scottish.
Yeah, because he's the head of the department.
Yeah,
so you'll be reporting to him directly. He's like, I'll do it, but I don't want any government interference. Like, okay, cool. Good luck building a stairway up there then.
Yeah, it's like he thinks that episode of South Park was real. He can just do that.
And so he wants they basically say that they have to scan for all the Hong Kong files locally in order to get this, like, to figure out what's going on. And this was when I was like, I figured there must be somebody just listening to their stuff all the time, because before they get a chance to start scanning all the files, all the logs for the Hong Kong stuff locally, Gypsy goes nuts and smashes up a satellite.
Yeah.
That's where
The
that
fucking
gypsy
arm
note
has
came in.
satellite just swinging around,
She was like,
just narrowly missing everybody.
I know the satellite has Richard Basart pictures. Richard Basart.
And then the other crazy thing is that they go out. They're trying to get that file that dude who got sucked into space
Mahmoud.
Mahmoud. And thank God it landed precariously on one of the satellite dishes outside in space. So they're like, okay, we'll just get it. But someone fucks with Gerard Butler's suit and he almost dies.
You mean his indestructible spacesuit?
Yeah.
Right? Oh
Fucking
my god.
like it was the equivalent of like dragged through a thorn field of thistles and metal and all kinds of exploding stuff. Nope, not so much as a tear in the suit or a crack on his face shield, and yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous.
Right? Yeah, and versus like in other movies, I feel like it's like, uh-oh, I breathed too hard and one of my seals came undone. Quick, get the duct tape!
Pop.
See our episode of Outbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Kevin Spacey had it coming.
Kind of did. So, okay.
Steve,
so
I hate to be the one to tell you it's not a documentary. I wish it was too, but it's not.
Max has another clandestine type call from his buddy Chang, and they I got this here. Something super sleuth. Oh, okay, yeah, because he gets murdered in traffic.
Chang gets
Yeah, he gets like a hit and run.
hit by a
pushed
car
into
in
traffic.
the most. Yeah, and he gets hit by
he
a
gets
car,
pushed.
and it is the most hilarious car hit of all
Oh
time.
my god. Somebody worked way too hard on this car hit. Like, they went too far.
It was not as hysterical as Meet Joe Black, but it was pretty close.
When I
It's
saw it,
more
I was
lake
like,
house level.
when I saw it, I was like, this looks like it belongs in like some piece of shit like movie 43 or something. Like this is just. But I also want to mention here, guys, because this is one of the moments where when I first saw this movie, I thought the villain was someone else because they do this weird cut with Jake talking to Cheng where he says, "Who could have messed with this?" And they say anyone with level 3 or above, and he goes, "Level 3 or above." Immediately cut to his girlfriend,
Yep.
and I was like,
Right.
It's her. She's the villain. Holy shit!" And then they do that like 3 other times in the movie. Like they do a weird line cut to her, and I'm like, is the movie trying to like convince me? Because I'm convinced.
It is trying to
Trying to
convince
throw
you
her in as a red herring
because
I
Ed
don't know,
Harris
she
is in the
has
movie.
A red harassing.
Oh,
Red Harris.
That's why they have to keep trying to sell her super hard as the obvious, option for the villain because they really have a lot of work to do because Ed Harris is in this movie.
But it's
Guys, the best twist though, Gerard Butler was really behind it the whole time. He's like, I designed it. It was me, Austin. It was me.
Son of a
all
bitch.
along."
Son of a bitch!
Dutch boy don't belong to you.
Uh,
It was done in a way like I don't want to say it was subtle the way they cut to her, but like
'Cause it wasn't.
It was done. It wasn't, but like it wasn't
Because it was the
done.
opposite.
In this stupid movie, you think they would have hammered it home even more if they were trying to really convince you, but it just felt like it was enough to be like, oh, that's an odd choice. Oh, they did it again. That's weird.
Yeah, so you start thinking like, wait, is it her? Let's see. What motivation would she have? What evidence? Oh yeah, absolutely nothing.
she works for
She
the
doesn't want to
president.
get. She wants to get married. She wants to get married. She wants the chain of command to pass down to Secret Service so she could become president.
Yeah,
and
that's
she
a
can,
lot of people you got to kill for
she
that to
can,
happen.
and she can marry Jim Sturgess.
Wait, that would be millions and millions of people would have to die for her to be next in succession.
Worth it.
She's probably cool. with that.
Geostorm.
It's the only way you can do it, to be sure. So we have Gerard Butler being super sleuth. Chang has been killed. His last words are suits. Suits.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
nice choice, buddy.
Yeah. So both of them, both Max and Jake, are now this thing runs deeper than anything that we could ever grasp. They have another Zoom call, And
This
the brother
fucking
code.
scene. This
The brother's
fucking
code
scene.
comes into play. And it is fucking off the rails ridiculous.
Remember when Dad used to take us fishing?
No, he starts talking about the cell phone because his cell phone number is the word count code that they need to use to decipher all the stuff that he says.
And then the best part is that the secret message is so fucking vague. It's proof of sabotage at the highest level of government. Trust no one. Like, yeah, that's what your brother already was doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, thanks, Gerard Butler. Go fix your fucking space car.
It's okay. So either he spent all afternoon memorizing this word perfect message to go along with this ridiculous number code. Either he memorized it or he had Wally from Late Night holding the cue cards, so he got the words to be just so.
That's the thing.
Ooh, we don't see German lady scientist. Maybe she was the one holding the cue card.
No, guys, he's a genius, duh.
Can we do another take? No, you're live, pal.
Roll out, pal.
I designed a space station. I can remember a monologue, for fuck's sake.
So
it's so crazy though. Like the first time I saw this movie, I actually didn't understand when they revealed what happened, like what he was trying to say. I was like, "What?" And then when I watched it this time, I'm like, "Oh my god, is that really how they did?" Oh my fucking god.
And
guys, by the way, I just found all these this information about Project Zeus. Apparently involves Tiny Lister. You might know him as Debo from Friday,
Or Zeus.
but apparently he had a wrestling reference. Got it in.
President from the Fifth Element.
Yes, but yeah, also Zeus, WWE.
Yeah, we get it, dude.
got it.
Dude, we're like
Got
three
it in.
wrestling references deep. But good job, Steve.
But not for me.
Okay.
It's impressive when it's me. I know like 6 wrestlers.
Okay.
You know more than that now, Steve. You know like 9.
I did see a Royal Rumble with Johnny Knoxville though. So.
Oh God.
And Bad Bunny.
So they managed to convince his Secret Service girlfriend to help break into the Project Zeus thing because they can't get into it, right?
Right. They need her
And-
level of clearance.
Yeah, and we get some moment where Zazie Beetz is like, "Don't shoot me, I'm just in your home," and because they're like, and she thinks Max is like cheating on her at first with Zazie Beetz, and then they break into it and they start saying like, well, let's do the possible path this can take. We'll start in Afghanistan because that was the first place, and then we'll go to Hong Kong.
Oh
And
yeah,
then it
he's
says,
running
like,
all
so-and-so
all the scenarios
simulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
And
that
it's
he
just
got
like
from
so and
Dutch Boy.
so this many paths left. And what's hilarious is when they put in the third country later, it just says one path. Like all the possible countries.
Orlando,
There's
Florida, Geostorm.
Yeah. Yeah. At one point a character says too about Dutch Boy, they turned it into a gun, and I said, just like every other problem, America turned it into a gun.
They weaponized it. Yeah.
Well, they
Just like kids
weaponized
with
it, but I
Legos,
think
they turn it into a gun.
and they think, and Jake thinks it's President Andy Garcia, and we all are looking at him being like, it's obviously Ed Harris, you dumb fuck.
Because it's Ed Harris. They go back because they want to go to Mahmoud's locker because he figured that's where he hid the stuff that they're looking for.
That's where he hid the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And his locker's been cleaned out because he died of weeks ago. And but there's like no was the French scientist kind of steps up.
It was like a French security officer or something.
And he was like, yeah, no, he didn't go to his locker. He went over to this here locker.
And he comes around the corner so ominously with a gun in his hand. It's like, clearly this guy's not one of the villains.
Yeah. All the while this is happening, another storm is happening, and it's hailing softballs and later wrecking balls
in Tokyo
with Miley Cyrus on them.
Yeah, a bunch of Mileys coming down to Japan.
Because she came in like a wrecking ball.
Thank you.
See, we can do that jokes now because Warner released all of those possible holds on our episodes on Facebook.
I saw that. I was like, wow, guys, thanks.
Oh, you realize you didn't have a case or a leg to stand on, and we're just a couple of two podunk fellas from New Brunswick?
Rio de Janeiro gets frozen, though, and it starts freezing or whatever, and the most weirdest part about this Rio scene is, like, we focus on one character kind of running ahead of it and, like, trying to get away, almost as if she's, like, a character we should know.
Yeah.
Right?
During
As
all of this,
dozens, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands are dying around her, and fucking birds are falling from the sky, and eventually a fucking plane.
Speaking of getting muted on Facebook, when this scene happened, I was watching this with Patty, and she was like, "Let it go, because they were all like they were frozen by Elsa's powers.
But I just think it was so weird. I actually had to pause. I remember when I first saw this movie, I stopped for a second. I looked over at Mariah and said, "Did we meet this character earlier?"
In fairness, I'm pretty sure they show this scene of extras running, like this compilation of these couple of scenes, like from different camera angles. I think they show it twice. Because there was a point where I was like yeah, like they showed and I wasn't honing in on the girl that you're talking about, but there was a guy who gets frozen, and they show him running towards the camera, and then they show a couple other scenes of people being panicked, and then they showed him running towards the camera, and there was nothing different about the shot except for the next flip was when he got frozen.
See, I don't know. I just thought it was weird that we were following one person in particular. Usually when they show destruction, they're just like, destruction. People got wiped out and killed. And it was just, I don't know. It was weird framing. It's almost as if Dean Devlin is not a good director.
He's a hell of a producer,
dare
goddammit.
you.
Actually, okay, the next movie he did after this, Bad Samaritan. It has David
Tennant.
Yeah, David Tennant as like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Actually not that bad.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Maybe he just shouldn't do weather movies then.
Well, guys, let's face it, this is a fucking Roland Emmerich movie all day.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
this is okay. I know I made the joke earlier about how it was like Armageddon and Deep Impact's kid, raised by eating lead paint. It's actually more like Michael Bay and Roland Emmerich had a love child that subsisted on nothing but meth.
Yeah, this is 2012 and Day After Tomorrow kind of having a baby, and yeah.
Yeah. And it grew up eating Dutch boy paint.
Nathan, that child that they had is named Dean Devlin.
Okay. All right. This math checks out.
Look, there's a reason why they stop at DuPont Circle later. It's all about eating paint.
It's all about those
this
chemicals,
movie is
baby.
about eating paint.
It's,
Wait a minute. Dean Devlin? Devlin? Oh my god, why is my toast upside down? Fuck that movie.
Wait, Steve,
Sorry.
do you go with the Dean Devlin you know or the Dean Devlin you don't know?
Why is my toast upside down?
I go with the Devil and Max Devlin.
It's a reference to one of the greatest films of all time, Devil.
Okay. I actually
toast
got I got the Devil and Max Devlin reference. That's weird. No, Bill Cosby and Elliot Gould together at last.
Yes.
Sexpot, Elliot Gould, and America's Dad, Bill Cosby. Now streaming on Disney Plus. Wait, I'm getting some information.
No, it is
It is not streaming on Disney Plus.
Wait, something's coming over the wire.
It is right next to Song of the South, wherever that may be.
All right, so at this point we find out we basically find out that Ed Harris is the bad guy because he's like, Jim Sturgess goes up to Ed Harris at the Democratic National Convention in Florida.
Yeah, look at the turnout for the Democratic National Convention in Florida. That was the most unbelievable, hilarious part of this movie. There's not that many Democrats in Florida.
Hey, it's President Garcia's home state, I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Florida is usually pretty close, like 52 to 47 or something. So there would be some Democrats.
I guess I'm
in
just
Florida.
going by the news these days.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
They,
but
they absolutely, could fly out.
but they're all trapped in the DNC, and yeah, he's telling Ed Harris like, "Oh, I think President
and
President
where
Andy
is
Garcia."
Where's that DNC being held at other than Orlando, Florida? That's right, the John Moxley Arena, or the Moxley Arena, which means in 2025, John Moxley's going to done something so great that they're naming Orlando arenas after him.
Oh!
This movie's making some bold predictions.
Hasn't he already?
Yeah. He married Renee Paquette.
So he's like, so President Andy Garcia is the villain. It's definitely got to be him. And Ed Harris is like, "Are you sure? You got to be sure." "Well, okay, I believe you." And then, of course, he like pulls a gun on him. Yeah. And his plan, okay, can we just talk about Ed Harris's fucking plan is to cause a geostorm, by the way, to a city that he is currently in.
That he's going to be soon out of and survive and be the president.
But
he did have this whole escape plan, and then they're gonna cause. We're gonna get to it here in a little bit, but we're gonna find out they're gonna save the best bits.
Yeah, all the other all the other places that are gonna get hit are essentially America's enemies at the time.
That's his thing. But like, what I don't understand is like, why didn't he make sure he was in a different location first and then wait for the geostorm to happen? But he's just like, I'm just gonna get out of here right in the nick of time, I guess.
Hey guys, how much time do we have until Geostorm?
It happened last year.
It was an hour and a half at the start. I think we're down to 30 minutes now.
Maybe. Yeah, it starts out at 90, but Izzy was like, "Time to Geostorm."
So not
coming
only
on a t-shirt soon.
Geostorm.
So speaking of insane motivations, we find out that Klaus is the turncoat on the ship.
Klaus
on the Dutch boy, and then his reasoning, he's like, "Well, us lowly scientists get paid very little money."
Oh, the guy from
I
the
just
guy
got
from
to go to fucking space.
Yeah,
the guy from Bumbershoot Secondary.
What?
Bumbershoot Secondary.
Okay. Yeah.
We got Bumbershoot secondary here.
That's
yeah,
the name of the
he's
show, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. But he's like, "Yeah, we get paid such little money, so I decided to help destroy most of the Earth."
But I'm gonna save the best bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jake says, "You dumbass! If you have all this money, there's no Earth to spend it on."
Yep. And then they get into a fight, and then he gets dude gets sucked out a window.
Yes, because he starts blasting off with a gun in an oxygen-rich environment that's also pressurized, floating in the vacuum of space.
Listen, he's just a scientist.
I thought you said he went to an academy.
Well, guys, as long as we follow
after
the
this.
laws of physics, like in the movie F9.
We can't die.
So, and then his Max's Secret Service girlfriend is like, I love the line where she's just like, "You get us a car, I'll get us a president," because they're gonna get Andy Garcia out of there.
Yeah.
Wait, why do they have to kidnap the president?
Oh,
because the president is the kill code.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because they need the
Biometrics,
kill
10
code.
fingers,
We
2
did-
irises.
Yeah, we didn't really mention this, but there's a kill code that they need to restart Dutch Boy to get rid of all the viruses and shit that are in it. And the kill code is literally the president's retinal scan.
Yeah, it's a biometric code as opposed to a nuclear number code.
Yeah.
This is one of my biggest fucking pet peeves in movies like this. There's no off switch, only a self-destruct button.
Yeah.
It's like Dr. Doofenshmirtz created this space station. Why do I keep putting those in there?
All of these movies, it's like, you need a whole fucking team to get it going. Like, just blowing one fucking uranium tube wouldn't shut the whole fucker down. Come on, guys. Is it temperamental, or is it self-destruct, or is it none of it? I don't know.
And then what follows is a 10-hour car chase scene.
Oh, you know what? I didn't mind this car chase. I kind of had... It was probably the most fun I had in the entire movie. Especially when she did that, that brake stand... whip around and shot at the other car and took out the guy driving it. Mwah. Man, straight out of a Canon Films release.
And then she gets the okay from the president because he says, marry her. Hey!
Marry that woman.
He
As
delivered that
millions of
line
people
so
are
rushed
dying.
and mumbled that I had to wind it back to see it again.
And yes, Steve made a good point though just now. As millions of people are getting murdered by a geostorm, the president stops to be like,
exploded in arenas and electrocuted by God himself.
yeah, President Andy Garcia stops to quip about their relationship.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta laugh at those kind of situations. Am I right?
Speaking of laughter, isn't it at this point where Gerard Butler thinks he might have to Armageddon this movie?
Yes,
This
yeah.
makes me laugh.
I have
Yeah.
my note here as blah blah blah, ultimate sacrifice, yada yada yada.
And then the movie doesn't even have the balls to do that.
No.
All right, so this was another thing. He's like, I'm ready to make the ultimate sacrifice. As soon as he hangs up, he's like, fuck, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. What? The exit's over there.
Oh, good. I just wanted to scare the shit out of my brother.
Yeah. Well, because the German lady comes back, right?
Oh, not
yeah,
till after he's
yeah,
like trying to get
say-
the fuck out.
I have a drunken note. I don't know what it means. Maybe you guys can help me out, because this is my one per episode. I have the note. What the fuck with that trunk?
Because okay, so I got the Secretary Deckham and like his evil security guard guy.
Yeah.
They're like waiting at like the end of a bridge or whatever, and so he pops the trunk and pulls out a fucking rocket launcher, and then he's like, as soon as that fucking Prius with the president shows up, we'll shoot him with this. And of course, that's what happens. Boom! And then instantly, Secret Service lady pops up behind him like, freeze, motherfucker! Like, how did you sneak up on him? Because I'm the goddamn president. That's how.
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically gets like Andy Garcia. That's basically his Air Force One get off my plane moment.
Exactly.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah. And then Ed Harris is just going through like his manifesto about like how he's wiping out enemies of the U.S. Our country is like a bank, et cetera, et cetera.
We're gonna take it back to 1945 when Nazis were in charge. Wait, what?
Oh my god.
I say we get back to camps. What? Why is everyone looking at me?
It's just a really good way to hold them down. Wait,
At one point he says, you call it genocide, I call it preemptive strike, and I wrote down, let's call the whole thing off. Oh. But
I'm
Max,
a little bit country. I'm a little bit rock and roll.
but then Max punches Ed Harris in the face, and Secret Service lady gets her badass line where she's like, "That's my fiance." Oh.
Wah, wah.
Well, we had to have
Yeah. After this is the heart to heart with the brothers, where
yeah.
I have a note here that Ben and Bruce did it better.
Well, also, it's like they have zero chemistry together, so there's like nothing here.
Although
to
Yeah,
get.
it's no Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck. Harry! Harry, I love you! I'm gonna fuck your daughter! Oh, Harry!
Promise me one thing. When I die, you're not gonna fuck my daughter. Oh no, I'm definitely gonna.
oh my
fuck your
god,
daughter.
so many holes.
Oh no, she's getting it.
Jesus.
Like, first thing when I land.
Like, fuck your daughter. Couple days, your funeral.
This whole thing, this whole exchange is why every time anybody older than me asks about my podcast, the first thing I say is, please don't listen to it. Like every time I talk about this with my parents or aunts and uncles, I'm like, you don't have to listen to it. It's okay.
Damn it, Nathan! Stop driving our numbers
Every time I
down.
go to church, I'm like, nope, you guys do not listen. Do not listen to my podcast, please, church people.
Please put up a giant poster in your church.
Right. Next thing I know, excommunicated. I'm not even Catholic.
The Catholic Church, you just get a formal letter from the Catholic Church. We know you're not a member, but just so
But
you
just
know.
to be safe, you're not welcome here.
The collection plate has an interesting logo this week. Ed Harris's character, by the way, speaking of Geostorm, Ed Harris's character doesn't die though, which is surprising. He just gets arrested. And then German lady comes back to the Dutch boy, and they find a way to escape by some stupid science bullshit riding a satellite
Yeah,
down, whatever, who cares?
I wish they could have like Slim Pickens that thing from Doctor Strangelove and like whoop the hat around. That would have been awesome.
And then they get down to back to Earth, and as Jake and Max and Jake's daughter are just sitting there fishing. Remember that story from earlier?
Right.
Vaguely.
Jake says, Gerard Butler says he's going back up in a week, and I'm like, give yourself a little while longer. The world almost ended.
Well, it is 6 months
Also,
later.
good luck getting funding for a new space station.
It is 6 months later. Because they do say that. It is 6 months later. But my biggest question in all this, all the explosions and fire that we saw in space, where was the oxygen coming from?
From people screaming, because you can't hear it.
Yeah.
There's no oxygen.
Oh, guys.
The fire's on the
also, we
space
have to
station,
mention,
fine,
like,
but fire, like flames in space, I don't think that works.
It just sounds like a really...
It was the ionosphere there.
It just sounds like a really offensive, like, stereotypical comedy bit, flames in space.
Guys, my favorite part about this ending, though, is, like, yeah, when they, like, crash land and the newscasters are like, it's a miracle! It's a miracle! These 2 crackers and a Mexican are safe! I'm like,
Right.
Millions are dead around the world, and a space station is going to be plummeting to Earth with debris falling for the next couple of months.
Now, in all fairness,
Who cares about these guys?
they're not crackers.
Nobody.
One's a scone, the other's a Wiener Schnitzel.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that one of the crew rescued them, because it doesn't matter.
He pulls up and is like, saved by the Mexican, and points to his fucking
Yep.
patch.
And he says, saved by the Mexican at his normal talking voice, as if they can hear him.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, what do
Yeah.
you say? We're in the vacuum of space.
Exactly. Which I'm like, oh my god, you guys, like, this is so many levels of racist. But on top of it, they have a Mexican chauffeur?
Yeah, exactly.
We do get a lovely narrative outro from Jake's daughter, aka Greta Thunberg, to which she writes that they would all work on it together. It's one planet, one people, and I added, yeah, right.
And we did it.
We share the future.
Yeah. Congratulations.
And if you remember that, we will survive. And I'm like, yeah, good luck.
I really want, by the way, when it said we share the future, we will survive, they really missed the boat there by not ending with I will survive.
Right?
I will
Gloria Gaynor makes everything
Should've
happen. Anyhow, that is Geostorm. Roll credits.
Geostorm!
Yeah.
Geostorm!
Throw it around the room here, starting with our guests. Steve, would you say that this is worth a watch? A drunk watch with friends. Would you attempt head trauma to forget it, or avoid it like the plague?
This is definitely a drunk watch with friends. I've seen this movie, like I said, 4, maybe 5 times in the, 4 years it's been out. And each time I'm just like, wow, this is actually kind of entertaining just by how ridiculous every single scene is.
Oh, this is for sure a drunk watch with friends. I mean, honestly, just for Andy Garcia's, minute and a half of on-screen time, because that man is amazing.
Okay.
I wanted more Andy Garcia. But, I mean, come on, it's Gerard Butler saving the world from paint.
So
Ed Harris is a bad guy and then being sent to the Rock. I assume that's the sequel.
Yes, it's a prequel to The Rock!
is not. So, Stizzy says it's a drunk watch with friends.
Oh, sorry, and one more thing. I said one more thing to end.
okay.
So at the very end, we have the scene where they're all looking out at Gerard Butler's palatial estate, but I'm guessing because of the global warming, it's all underwater because they're
Should be.
just looking out at a waterway.
Given the amount of heat that was thrown off just in Hong Kong alone. So okay, well, Brandon, what say you on our scale of worth a watch to plague?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would also say a drunk watch. Like, it's almost veering down into the head trauma category, but I think it just it lightly makes its way into a drunk watch with friends. There are a few moments where I was like, I can probably just fast forward this, but it's stupid enough to just forget your troubles and slam back a couple of tall ones with the boys.
Better than English Patient.
Well,
I don't know about that.
to say the least. But I will be the dissenting vote and say that
Worth a watch.
Attempt head trauma to forget it. In all honesty, I'd rather just watch Armageddon.
Yeah.
in all fairness, there were, as Brendan did point out, there were some fun, entertaining moments like that car chase and I'm the goddamn president. But I don't think there's enough of them to save it for me. So I'm gonna attempt head trauma to forget it.
All right.
All right, so there we go. Everyone's kind of had their say, and we're gonna pay some bills. But hey, do stick around. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial or the RSS feed, whatever you have it set on, because we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
And we are back. Back again. Guess who's back?
From outer space. We just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face.
But this is actually not the musical portion of the show to get us muted by Warner Media on Facebook. Remember, lots of lip and tongue action when you are on NPR. No, this is the poetic section of our podcast, and it is called the Low Haiku. Brendan, would you please explain to the nice folks at home, softly in their ear holes, what the Low Haiku is all about?
Yes, I would. Low haiku, people, is 17 perfect syllables, all of which are breaking down the film we just talked about, Geostorm.
And as polite Canadians,
Geostorm.
we will actually defer to our guests to lead us off. So, Steve or Izzy, do you have a low haiku prepared?
Steve, do you have a low haiku for us?
I do. Thank you, Nathaniel.
Not my name, but there you go.
Close enough.
It's Natalia.
Natalia,
Okay,
my bad.
got it, Steven.
Everybody ready? Okay, cool. Here we go. Time to Geostorm. Soon at Untidy Venus. Can't wait for Moonfall.
I'm guessing that's some sort of plug for an upcoming episode from you guys. Brendan, would you so delight us with your poetic endeavor?
Yes, Nathan, I would love to read my haiku. Folks, hide your accents. Get out your movie science. It's a geostorm.
Geostorm.
Okay, very good.
Nathan,
I
you have
will,
a haiku for us?
I do. I do. Not Armageddon. It's not even Deep Impact. Knock off 2 for 1. Thank you. And we're just gonna pull back on out of it. We get on here. See, there we go.
Geostorm!
See,
Geostorm!
back into it. There we go.
Moonfall! Wait.
You guys are way too excited for this movie. I just don't get it. Okay, well, you know what? I've had my say about how I don't really much care for it. You guys have had your say about how you would absolutely get your drunkard friends to watch it with you. But ours isn't the only opinion that matters. I gotta ask, we have a thing that we like to say on this show because we don't want to tell you guys what to do. What is that particular thing there, Brendan?
Well, we like to say...
Don't take our word for it. Oh, yeah.
That's right. don't take our word for it. I mean, this movie it looks like a big budget. So, probably like something that maybe the critics don't get behind, but the audience does, or vice versa. Brendan, what did the critics have to say about Geostorm?
Well, you're right about one thing. The critics didn't really get behind this because only 17% of them liked it.
Okay. What? But I mean, it's a big popcorny type flick, blowing up the earth possibly. So I mean, the audience probably got behind it, just like Armageddon or Deep Impact.
Well, I would say more of the audience than the critics did, but it's still only 35% of the audience liked it.
Oh, okay. Well, so it's rotten on both scales.
But Nathan, I will tell you that if you liked this movie, which you obviously did, you might also like the film Captive State.
Never heard of it.
The Darkest Minds, that has to be coming soon.
Saw it.
Mortal Engines.
Haven't seen it.
What?
Krampus, somehow.
Yeah.
And Collide.
Oh, I have not heard of Collide.
How far would you go for the one you love? That's the tagline for Collide.
Okay.
Really? They didn't just list every other Roland Emmerich movie? Like, you might also like Independence Day.
You might
Day
also...
After Tomorrow.
2012.
Or Godzilla 97. Or Universal Soldier.
You might also like that one movie about gay rights that he made.
Yeah, randomly.
Anyhow, let's jump on into the what the critics have to say about it there. Brendan, lead us off.
Well, the critics, like I said, weren't too kind to this, so let's start off with Mark Kermode, where he says, "It is the kind of film in which having a British accent will get you punched in the face, but the fact that Gerard Butler talks like Sean Connery in that weird sequence from The Untouchables, nobody cares."
Okay. Well, Jason Best from Movie Talk did not think this was the best. In fact, he wrote, "A disaster movie so cheesy, it should come with pepperoni on top."
Oh.
1 out of 5.
Delicious. Alan Adams from The Main Edge.
Ooh, do the accent.
Don't go down that road. No. Geostorm is Emmerich Light. Less disaster porn and more disaster late night Cinemax. 2 out of stars.
Okay.
Don't go down that road.
Yeah.
All right, well...
a lot of history down that road.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Robbie Collin of the Daily Telegraph says, "Watching Gerard Butler solve a whodunit is like watching chimpanzees move a piano downstairs. A kind of teeth-bearing, flea-picking burlesque of recognizable human behavior that's funny for a while until you start to worry about the ethics of it."
Okay.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. All right, well, Evan Ducey from the Midwest Film Journal, he actually enjoyed it, and he wrote, "A delightfully dumb as you'd expect it to be, don't you know?" I added the "don't you know," but still, it's as delightfully dumb as you'd expect it to be, and apparently that's a positive. I mean, I guess he enjoyed it being dumb.
Nice. I have a positive one from Sarah Cartland of Caution Spoilers. "You can always tell who saw this as when we're late, we say, I literally had to fly in from outer space like a secret code. An entertaining romp with Butler only lurching into Scottish once. This just needed more spectacular deaths from mad weather. 3.5 out of stars."
All right, last one I got here is from Chris Hewitt of Empire Magazine. And he says, "Not quite the geo stinker people were expecting, but the outlook is far from favorable."
Well, my last one comes from Jonathan Hartful from Sci-Fi Now. And
Sci-Fi Now?
He wrote Sci-Fi Now.
Okay.
And he wrote, "If you think you know what you're getting with Geostorm, well, you're probably right. It's big, it's stupid, it's got people outrunning enormous weather events, and it's bad in most of the ways that matter. 2 out of 5.
Rebecca Powell from Pajiba, whatever that is.
Sure.
It's such a harmless nothing of a movie that being bounced around in my seat and sprayed in the face with water was actually pretty fun, and keeps me from falling asleep besides. Geostorm is the perfect 4D movie. Put it on the poster. And that's a fresh review.
Okay.
I hope that was actually her experience, because that sounds great.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, that was a critic, not an audience review, which we are going to get into right now.
Yeah, we're going to start with Daniel L., who says, with no punctuation whatsoever, most of the movie wasn't that good, only the Geostorm scenes were 2.5 stars.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Joe D, Joe Dirt, or Joe Don Baker writes...
Or Joe
Or
Dante.
Joe Dante.
Hey!
Is it my turn?
If Gerard Butler's in it, I'll watch it. He's a very convincing and charismatic actor with lots of range. The more the critics put down his films, the more I'll tune in. 4 out of stars.
Nice.
Well, what say you, Izzy?
I mean, it's Joe Don Baker, 5 stars. Come on.
Nice. I have a review from J Master J. That's just the full name, I'm assuming. Decent premise. Gerard is fine. Abbie is gorgeous. But is there a worse actor than Sturgess? His words and face never match and ruins the movie every time he opens his mouth. How does he get such a big role in this movie? Wow. When one of the main is so bad the movie never gains or maintains momentum, too bad. It could have been better. 2.5 out of stars.
I think, you know what, he's not wrong. Sturgess, Sturgess is 2 out of stars. So, yeah, J Master J, you are correct. The 4 out of stars.
You should go back across the universe. He was in that, right?
Nobody cares.
2 out of Sturgis. All right. This next one is from an anonymous critic, so I'm assuming Izzy wrote it. I'm assuming Izzy wrote it, though, so she could review her own review. The anonymous critic says, "The Satellites was an interesting approach. 3 stars."
5 stars. Most accurate review so far.
Okay. Well, my next one comes from John W. I assume it's John Waters.
Mm-hmm. John Wick.
And he writes, it's the day after tomorrow, too. It's just a different way of destroying landmarks. Repetitive. 2 out of stars.
Not enough poodle.
John Wick, you're actually wrong on this one, because they didn't destroy the Golden Gate Bridge.
Didn't say
So
all
I
the
think
landmarks.
you get 2 out of stars. Hey, alright, did we watch the Eiffel Tower go down? No. Did we watch the Golden Gate Bridge go down? No. Did we even see the Statue of Liberty go down? No. Did we see any pyramids go down? No. They missed all the
the
landmarks.
Moxley Arena.
Moxley Arena in Orlando, Florida.
International
And-
landmark.
Moxley Arena, one of the 7 wonders of the world, I believe.
Isn't that scheduled for demolition in a week and a half?
No, how dare you!
No, it's just being renamed Preparation H Arena.
Yeah.
Juan Manuel L. We'll say lovely. Es una gran película llena de catástrofe en emociones. 5 out of stars.
You are correct, Juan!
Something about being a grand pelican with catastrophes and emotions.
Yep, that's the only thing it could be.
All right. Well, guys, Troy S. wants to leave this review here. Well, he did leave this review. He wanted to, and then he did. He says, Ed Harris, Gerard Butler, guys, what were you thinking? 0.5 star.
Nice. Shameless plug.
Hashtag shameless plug.
For
0
the
stars.
for the
Wait, what?
podcast you're listening
5
to
stars.
right now.
It's a real Tubi on Tubi ad.
Yep.
My next one comes from Tyler P. I can only assume it's Tyler Perry. He probably wrote this in between his Medea movies. Latest one coming out in February.
Lord.
I found myself looking for a movie to watch and honestly was not unsatisfied with what I found. Sure, it's not a AAA title, even though it has some actors that are well known. The movie was entertaining to myself. I seem to be the minority in this opinion, but I will end with saying this. It's not fantastic. However, I did enjoy the movie. 3.5 out of stars from Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry, you're also not fantastic. And someone
you
enjoys
are
you.
a filthy liar.
No, Izzy is speaking the most truth she's ever spoken.
You're talking about Baxter Stockman there. Watch your tongue.
That's right. He's gonna be in a movie. He's gonna have Brendan O'Carroll as Mrs. Brown in his next movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him 2 stars, and he gets an extra star because apparently Nathan's got a hard-on for him.
I'm just saying, he is a true auteur.
Listen,
Writes,
Nathan
directs, acts, produces. The man is a quadruple threat.
and Kevin Costner also does that. So, Steve, what's your
So
review?
does Neil Breen.
Well, wait a second now.
See?
Now, if Neil Breen directed a Medea movie, it would be perfect. Okay, Steve, read your
Guys,
review.
let's get this collaboration to happen.
I'd see it. That's all. It's gonna.
All right, last one I got here is from Skinny B, who
I can't
assume is
believe
Skinny
Medea
Biatch.
went to jail. I can't believe it. I can't believe Medea's a criminal.
Stop interrupting our guests,
That
Brendan.
was what were they thinking?
being very
Thanks for joining
un-Canadian.
us, and
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
No worries. So Skinny B, he or she says, "You're done, Leonard." 3 out of stars.
All right, Izzy, final verdict.
bitch, I don't even know.
Wait, weren't there 6 of you?
They all got canceled.
All 6 of them. Awesome. Well, we did it. We did it, Nathan.
Yes, we did.
There goes his notes.
To hell with ye! Done. There, yes, that's Geostorm and all our poetic takes on it and the other people's takes on it. So now we get to talk. Well, I mean, you guys, Steve and Izzy, have talked about something they kind of like, but we're gonna talk about things that we've recently been liking in the latest dance craze sensation that's sweeping the nation. That's right, my favorite, your favorite, everyone's favorite segment of the show. What you watching, bud? So, Steve and Izzy, or Stizzy, what you watching, bud?
Izzy,
Oh, man.
what are we watching, bud?
What have we been watching? I have entered season 6 of Supernatural.
Ugh.
And I think we're tapping out. I think we found something that's even too much for us.
Yeah.
It goes on for like 14, doesn't it?
Yeah,
we were
17.
Our plan was to watch every season. We've done all of the Star Treks, and we were like, what else goes on for literal decades of our life? Let's give it a try. And we're gonna get through season 6 because we feel pot committed at this point, and the other 10 seasons. I'm glad people get paid.
I mean, the
I
one we
always
watched
feel like
today
it's-
was actually the super meta one where they, I don't know, crash through a window and end up on the set of filming Supernatural.
And it actually was pretty funny.
That one was pretty funny.
But then they still ended it with just soap opera. Guys,
Yeah.
it's just a soap opera.
Yeah.
I feel it's one of those shows that if you're gonna endeavor to watch the entire thing, it's something that's gonna be done quarterly. You know, you watch it in the first quarter of the year, one season, then you take a break, and then so on and so forth. Rather than trying to watch all of it. Oof, you guys, that's extensive.
So
We've also been watching some Hulu series. We watched Hit Monkey, which
Yeah!
is a Marvel series about
so good.
obviously an ape being guided by the spirit of an assassin to exact revenge on the person that killed him and the monkey's family.
Yeah!
sorry
Guys,
to-
it's so good.
It's actually really good. Like, it's like 10, 25-minute episodes. You can
Yeah.
watch it in an afternoon if you really want to. Voice talents is Jason Sudeikis,
Mm-hmm.
George Takei, Olivia Munn. But yeah, there's
From the animators who did Archer.
yeah, it's good stuff. And we actually just started the Pam and Tommy miniseries.
Oh, yes.
That I guess came out like 2 days ago with Sebastian Stan as Tommy Lee and
Lily James.
Lily Taylor, I guess, is Pam Anderson, and Seth Rogen's in it, Nick Offerman. We're about an hour and a half in, and we just saw the Winter Soldier have a conversation with his penis voiced by Jason Matsoukas, so I'm in.
Okay, well there you go. Stizzy has been watching a lot of stuff. Brendan, what you watching, bud?
I'm going to recommend a movie that I just recently watched for the third time since October, and that is a little...
Geostorm?
What?
Geostorm!
No, I've only seen that twice. No, I want to recommend a movie I've seen for the third time recently since October, and that is a little horror/meta comedy that I know, Nathan, that you're a big fan of as well. It's called The Final Girls. It is it is just like a super fun movie and pretty like emotional at times, I thought, about this girl whose mother dies in a car accident. Turns out she was like a star in this hit like cult horror movie. They get sucked. Her and her friends get like sucked into the movie, and they have to like avoid all the horror tropes and stuff. It's a blast. So The Final Girls, which I believe you can watch on like Netflix and Prime or one of the two. What are you watching, bud?
Actually, I started watching Murderville today. It released day of recording, and halfway through it, it's a pretty fun little show. Not actually normally the type of show that I would gravitate towards, but it's Will Arnett's in it, and he plays Detective Seattle, and every week he has a new celebrity guest starring partner. And I guess the gimmick of the show is that everybody has a script except for the celebrity guest who has to improv everything. So they do some fun improv games. They have to do a mirror with people who don't look like anything like the people that are supposed to be reflected. With the episodes I've watched, Conan O'Brien, Marshawn.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch, improv comedy legend.
The football guy. I forget his
Skittles.
last name.
Well, no, I'm just making fun of the fact that he's on an improv comedy show.
Okay, and that's I couldn't remember his last name. That's the last name, legitimately. Okay.
Yeah.
Kumail
Nanjiani.
There you go, the guy from the Eternals.
Yeah.
Butchering his name, I'm awful. But yeah, I've watched the first 3 episodes. They're fun, and the most fun I've derived from it is the corpsing that goes on within it.
No pun intended.
So, no pun intended. Well, maybe a little. I mean, I do like a good pun as a dad. So yeah, that's what I've been watching, bud.
Cool.
All right, that's what everyone's watching, bud. So I want to say, in all sincerity, thank you, Steve and Izzy, for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on, and I'm actually quite surprised that the show didn't take too many wild, drastic turns.
Yeah, always a pleasure hanging out with you guys, talking about cinematic classics like Geostorm. Kind of surprising it was on the British Top 100, but,
right.
Teach their own.
Okay, guys. You have a podcast. Talk about it.
Oh, you must be referring to our podcast that's available on all the major podcatchers called Everything I Learned from Movies, where we talk about bad to questionable movies. I know it's fairly original premise. But yeah, you can hit us up at EILF Movies. That's Everything I Learned from Movies on Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon. Not Instagram. Fuck those guys. Babe, are you on social media at all?
I am. You can find me everywhere at Untidy Venus. It's a goddess who's bad at housekeeping. I'm on all the social medias under Untidy Venus. I also have an Etsy shop at untidyvenus.etsy.com where I sell my goods and wares. And I have a Patreon, Untidy Venus on Patreon. Join my Sticker of the Month Club. Join my Print of the Month Club. Yeah.
Guys, do you have a podcast?
Yeah, Brendan's got all that pimp stuff down.
Yeah, we got a podcast. If you're listening to this on any podcast app and you're like, I don't like this particular podcast app, well, don't worry, because you can listen to it on all the podcast apps. Or you can also go to our home base at Age of Radio.
Big time!
Also, Steve and Izzy's home base of Age of Radio. You can go to Age of Radio, ageofradio.org/whatwerethéthinking. We are also on Facebook. Just search for us. So we're on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. Find us on Patreon at patreon.com/WWTT Podcast. And you can also search for us on Redbubble and TeePublic. And we're on TikTok as well. So check us out. I usually just put when we have a new episode, so don't get too excited. Other than that, because I don't know how to tick or talk.
Show us your nips.
Well, if I get over 200, baby. But yeah, is Montrose around to say a few things?
He is. Yes, he is. Just one moment. I'll get him.
Okay.
Hello! It's your good friend Montrose Monkington III here, and I just would like to invite everyone to my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV, where you can see my latest videos. Well, I mean, it's probably more than other ones after this one. I recently watched GCW's pay-per-view. Went outside the WWE universe for my pay-per-views, and I will say I had a mixed time. I enjoyed it. There were some odd booking choices, but you can see more of that in the videos. You can also be friends with me on the Facebook group Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends. If you would like to tweet at me about GCW or any of the other indie promotions that I'm delving into these days, you can do that at Montrose III. That's the number 3RD. Thank you. More later.
Thank you, Montrose.
You're welcome.
All right. Well,
Silly monkey.
I guess Steve and Izzy, I'll kind of repeat Nathan's comment. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And
That's why we were drinking our besties earlier from Record Street Brewing.
there you go. I do have to ask Nathan a few questions though.
All right. Well,
Since
fire
you are
away.
since you are the Geostorm expert, obviously.
I do have a degree. Not in
just
science, but I have a degree.
Much like Andy's degree in Patrick Swayze knowledge, your degree is in geostorming. So
Well, no, but I mean, my degree is real though.
So when you geostormed the Capitol, no, okay. So in a movie, in a movie in which you have Ed Harris, but you're trying to pretend that someone else is the villain.
Right.
In a movie in which, and I know we very briefly mentioned it, but you have Andy Garcia doing some top-notch pen acting. In a movie in which Gerard Butler tries and fails miserably at hiding his true heritage,
Right.
in a movie in I guess the Geostorm.
What were they thinking?
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy's feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, and they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun, and I said I didn't like the way he got things done. He's sleeping on the job, and those raindrops are falling on my head, and they keep falling. But there's one thing I know, the blues they send to greet me won't defeat me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon